I don't have to tell you how ADHD can just disrupt everything instantly. It's like being born on hard mode. It is so stressful and unfair. One of the major problems though is that it becomes so insidious because it permeates, I'm using a lot of big words right now, I feel very fancy. It permeates into all facets of your life, including your business, that you don't realize until it's too late and you have to look back and see, oh crap, I ruined my business because I wasn't paying attention to the way ADHD was affecting it. So let's talk about the signs and the symptoms that ADHD is affecting your business and the ways that you can stop that from happening. The first part of this is get into things you probably don't want to get into. Sorry. But we're going to talk about your hoard of courses you've paid for but haven't taken, books you have on your shelf but haven't read, apps you pay for but have never used, and of tools that you have sitting around you that are collecting dust. If that sounds very like if you kind of shrunk back a little bit because I just told you that, then it's probably a sign that ADHD has been affecting your business because you have been paying for things you aren't using. And unless you are still in the return window for these things, you're pretty much screwed. So don't judge yourself too much for your past inactions or your past actions, I should say. What you should do instead going forward is develop a strategy of just in time. Just in time is just what it sounds like. It is the tools, the education, the experience you need right now to finish step 1 or step 2 or whatever, to finish the step. You don't need the education or the tools or the software that will make you successful a year from now. You don't need that. What you need is the stuff for today, and that's what you need to focus on. So going forward, no more courses or apps or tools or books that solve a future problem. Solve the problem of today. And the added benefit of that is that you might not need to buy that other stuff later because you'll have more experience, more education, more worldliness that show you, actually, I didn't need to take a class about how to get my first 1,000 subscribers because I've been writing all of these SEO enriched blog posts and I already have those 1,000 subscribers, that kind of stuff. Which leads me to the next point, and that is the opposite of just in time. Let's say lost in time. And that is when you're falling behind on necessary deadlines that help run your business. If you're someone who knows the last day that you can ship something before it's marked late, if you're someone who crunches at 1 hour before a deadline, that's a bad sign. And that is not a way that you can grow a business because you're always in panic mode. You don't have the brain space to be strategic. Instead, you're too focused on finishing this or guilting yourself because you shut down because it was too much pressure. Luckily though, there are ways that you can prevent this from happening. Automate your shipping. Like I talked about in my ADHD tax video, when I was running a product-based business, I used a company called ShipBob to do my shipping for me so that it was out of my hands. I could focus on my business and growing it, creating new products, creating new strategies, finding new customers, rather than obsessing about, I have to get to the post office today. Shipping orders and going to the post office was like 2 hours out of my day that I would have to worry about. Instead, I could spend those 2 hours being more strategic on the steps that would be necessary to grow my business. Another way you can prevent this from happening is what I call preloading. And essentially what that means is when you get an assignment or a deadline or an order, doing anything you can as soon as you get that information to set yourself up for success. So that might mean, if you're a freelance writer, drafting an outline once you've got a topic from your client. Or if you run a product-based business, printing out the invoice, checking your inventory levels, something like that. Something where this is a new thing that is happening, and so your dopamine's kind of like, this is a little bit exciting. Seize that when you have it and get as much work done as you can so that when that deadline comes, you're a little bit better set. Which leads me into the next part of that, and that is finding a way to get your groove back into that thing so that you can complete your deadline. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is you started this business because you loved some facet of it. And if you didn't, if you just started to make money, you don't have a why, you're in a lot of trouble. But that's not this conversation. There's a reason that you felt there was a need in the marketplace for your expertise and your product and your service. What was it that made you feel that way? What was that drive that got you to set up your business? You need to channel that again into this task and develop a curiosity around the project that will help trigger your motivation. If it's a product, like let's say it's somebody bought a candle, they bought that scent that I made 3 years ago. I am so glad that people are into that scent still. I made that 3 years ago. That's so cool. That gets your little like happy juices flowing and makes you feel so much better than like, oh, I gotta fill this stupid candle order. If you can get kind of like childlike about it and think, oh my God, my client wants me to write this article because they know I know about credit card budgeting. It was just the first thing that came out of my head. Or this person hired me and wants me to complete this project because they saw something in me that made them think you, not them. That's the trigger that might be able to break you out of that monotony, overwhelm that just makes you feel like, I can't do this. I can't do this project. That comes from a feeling of insecurity, which can be a really easy thing to focus on. We, for some stupid reason, tend to hyperfixate on the bad and ignore the good, even if the good is exponentially more than the bad. If you have one bad comment and 500 good comments, the one that keeps you up at night is that bad comment. And that is so lame that for our brains to do that. And it becomes this cycle of insecurity and self-doubt, and more insecurity and more self-doubt. And all of a sudden you're into this next sign and symptom of ADHD affecting your business, which you don't know what you're selling. I've noticed this especially with business owners that have something intangible, like selling a service. In their heads, they're like, well, I sell coaching. But then you go to their website and where's the coaching page? Or where are the testimonials? There's no information. There's no sales pitch. There's nothing. There's just a blog. And I'm saying that because I've been guilty of that. I've been like, well, I'm a marketing strategist. I had nothing on my website about that. My website was just my blog. How is that helpful? How am I going to sell anything if I'm not telling people how they can buy from me? If you have found that what I just said struck a little bit of a chord, there's a way to solve this. And that is to go through and build your sales funnel. Your sales funnel will require you to figure out what each step is that someone has to do to move through the process of buying from you. So for example, a lead magnet, which goes into a tripwire, which goes into an upsell, which goes into a downsell, which goes into your final product. All of that makes you lay out each step of the process that ends up with them buying your big ticket item. If you don't have that and you're just kind of like in the ether of, I sell marketing. Do you? Do you really? How can someone buy it from you if you don't know what you're selling? If you've already done that though, you have like a really well-defined sales funnel, simplify your offer. You and I are people, I think, who know a lot and are very creative and can dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge and learn as we go, making us more nimble because we're creative. Consequently, we will get in our own way and sort of trip over ourselves when we're trying to define what it is we do. If I asked you, what do you do for a living? And you get nervous, what that might mean is that you're not sure how to answer the question. And if you're not sure how to answer the question, how can you sell? Simplify your offer instead of like, well, I do website design and social media marketing and strategy. Say, I am a business strategist. I help multi-passion creatives and entrepreneurs with ADHD develop systems that help them generate multiple streams of revenue across all of their passions. That's my elevator pitch. What's yours? Why do I emphasize simplifying so much? Well, when I was running my first business, which was a skincare and soap company, I was all alone because I didn't want to bring anyone in. I was too terrified that someone would just see the mess of back-end operations that I had created. But I felt like I had to look big. I had to look impressive because I felt like if someone saw that it was just me in this tiny 100 square foot studio, no one's going to support that. They're going to think that I am just insane. So I had to look big. All of my marketing copy used we instead of I. I had like 17 cents of soap at one point, 10 varieties of scrubs, same like 10 candles, lip balms galore. I had so many products. I know I had close to 100 SKUs in my product catalog that I was making. It was driving me crazy because it was so expensive to do that. And I can't do that all by myself. I'm insane. Why would I do something like that? But then I realized that my giant product catalog was a sign of my ADHD because I wanted to do it all. I wanted to look fancy and I wanted to have the scent that you wanted no matter who you were whenever you were coming to my booth or my shop. The funniest part is that I've noticed so many entrepreneurs who are neurodivergent do that too. And my solution for how to combat that is not easy. It's implementing analytics and using hard data to find what it is you can cull. You might think your citrus and poppy seed soap is the best, but if you look at your data and you see actually no one's buying this, I have a lot of inventory of citrus and poppy seed. It doesn't matter if you love it. What matters is the data telling you it's not selling and you need to start culling it. Now, you could change your marketing strategy around it and try and save that. But my bigger point is that you need to utilize the data that removes feelings and emotions out of your business and gives you the cold hard facts so that you can make decisions on what your product catalog needs to be. Because so many people with these giant catalogs of products or services that they don't really understand or they're not really sure they're selling, it all ends up becoming a huge problem, which is the next sign of ADHD affecting your business, and that is your finances are out of control. If you've got a lot of late fees, maxed out credit cards, if you've been missing payments, that's a big red flag that your business is in trouble. Now, look, I know that many entrepreneurs who are neurotypicals can also run into this problem. However, our ability to impulse spend like nobody's business because of that constant surge of dopamine puts us in a really unfair situation where we are more prone to mess up our business and personal finances because of our ADHD. Luckily though, the solution of culling your product catalog and simplifying your offer goes a long way towards helping you do that. Now, I know that there are going to be times when you think, I want to offer something new, and I get that. That's fine. We should always grow our businesses with new products and services, but there should be a pattern to it, and that comes down to a simplified strategy. When do you release new product? Well, since I'm a product-based business, I release a new line every July because that sets me up for Q4, but I only release one new line every year. That's a great strategy. Instead of, well, I release, every couple of months, I might do a new soap scent or a new something, or I don't know. That's not a good strategy because that's you spending money on things you're not really sure are gonna be working. And you're creating a mountain of debt that is just so hard to get out of, especially when all of this starts to just smack you in the face. Like your finances are messed up, you don't know what you're selling, you have everything available, people are pissed because they're not getting their orders when they thought they would, you've gotten the message, you ruined my Christmas. Have you ever gotten, and then you end up at the final symptom that ADHD is ruining your business, and that is you shut down. Nothing gets done, no goals get achieved, you don't want to do anything, so you don't. And I get that. I get the times when it is super hard to become the entrepreneur you're supposed to be when everything feels like it's breaking down around you. My best advice for how to combat this is to rework what achievement means to you. What does it mean to you to be a successful entrepreneur? If you're feeling you're overwhelmed and you're shutting down and nothing's getting done, that's a sign that there's something blocking you from getting the motivation to do what you've got to do to grow your business. And so that means that somewhere in your brain, there's a disconnect between where you are and where you want to be, and you don't have a clearly defined path. So look at your goals that you've set for yourself. Take a good look at them and see, I know I said I wanted to be this kind of entrepreneur, but after being in the market for 6 months, getting a lot of debt and not getting any sales, maybe this isn't for me. That's a great place to be when you're in that kind of situation, because you realize you're at a tipping point and you can either rework your path to stay that course or pivot. And there's no shame in pivoting or quitting. In fact, if you go to this video, you will get my entire story about how I walked away from my business, and it was one of the best days of my life. I'll see you over there.